right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are on the record. I am James Chandler, running for District 1 City Council. And this is my first meeting where I'm going to just share my principles, my ideas, the agenda for the day. All right. So you can see where I'm coming from as a potential candidate for city council. I would like to start the agenda off with a mental breakdown. I will call this a mental breakdown. And this is not just a political act, but something that we should do for our mental, emotional, systematic properties, for our body, for our health. All right. First of all, so I'm giving honor to the Most High, the creator of the universe, heaven and earth, for this opportunity to come before many people that will be watching this video and share my political views, my beliefs, my moral standpoints, and hope that you would vote for me as your next city council delegate or servant, because I will definitely serve the people. So going to this mental agenda, we want to always remember to see the good in everything. No one's perfect, so we must learn to forgive ourselves. Learn to forgive yourself. You can if you think you can. Remember, you can if you think you can. Your potential is endless. Get up again when you fall. Never stop learning, because life never stops teaching. Everybody messes up sometimes. Things to remember, things to ponder on. Wherever you go, go with all your heart. The best is yet to come. You are one in a million. Let your values guide you. Other people have their issues too. You will be as happy as you decide to be. Don't judge anybody without understanding their circumstances. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. You never lose. So I'm going to say that again. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Follow your passions. Make today count. Stick to your healthy routine. Respect yourself and others. Enjoy the little things. You are stronger than the storm. Right? So, with that being said, the mental breakdown, all those details, all those inspirational quotes. As I said, I'm running for city council, and the three things in my platform that I'm fighting for is reparations, transparency, and undenied aid. That means we cannot be denied credit, our own credit. We must realize as citizens, if we decide to call ourselves citizens, right, or sovereign individuals, which we are, because we are not servants of the government, they are servants of us. We must remember that. As myself running for this position, I serve the people. It's not the other way around. So we have to do exactly what you ask or require of us, in a betterment for humanity. I still believe that we need to implement laws against crime on humanity. Right? I am a human rights advocate, standing for civil rights, standing for justice, true justice. That's with my morals, deeply rooted in biblical standards. I believe that we must adhere to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Those amendments mean something, right? The Bill of Rights means something. You know, human rights is the advocate for our success. I often mention in most of my speeches when I come before people, Abraham Lincoln, right? His quote, "We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution." And it's time to demand from our government what is required of them. We must demand of our government the things that belongs to us, our resources, right? We shouldn't be denied the resources, the life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, all that's included, right? In our Constitution. I believe all states should go by the same Constitution. Therefore, we wouldn't be having all these issues with different policies set in place, which they embark or put above the law of the Constitution and Bill of Rights that our forefathers set up. And this is why it's so easy to be put out of public buildings for speaking on what you believe or your rights. You know, it is not a crime to stand up for your rights. However, when policy or the wrong policy is set in place, it can almost, or not even almost, it can criminalize you, have you put in jail for what you believe or what you know is right. A little bit about Abraham Lincoln. From the book Abraham Lincoln by George Sullivan. Just want to read a little bit of this. The introduction. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. These are the opening words of Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Only 10 sentences long, it is often called the most famous speech in American history. At the time Lincoln gave the speech, the Civil War was raging. Lincoln began by reminding people of the nation's beginnings. He noted that the founding fathers had created the new nation in 1776. It was based, he said, on the idea that all citizens have an equal right to freedom. He used the speech to stir people of the North. He urged them to continue the struggle to save the nation. Abraham Lincoln was the 16th president of the United States. His words and deeds have made him a towering figure in American history. Lincoln helped keep America from breaking apart in its greatest crisis, the Civil War. He helped put an end to slavery. Abraham Lincoln understood the power of words. He used simple language to express great ideas. He used words to influence people. He used words to lead them. Lincoln's speeches and letters help us to answer questions about him. These documents are primary sources. Primary sources are actual records that have been handed down from the past. Speeches and letters aren't the only primary sources. So are diaries, maps, and government documents. Notes to a friend or email messages are primary sources. A picture of your mother is a primary source. Secondary sources are descriptions written by people about events sometime after they happened. Your history textbook is a secondary source. An encyclopedia is a secondary source. So is this biography of Lincoln. Serious students use primary sources in writing reports and biographies. Books that contain Lincoln's speeches, letters, and other writings are listed at the back of this book. Just wanted to share that a little bit. from that book, Abraham Lincoln. I wanted to mention that I'm running against James Tate, Pro Tem Tate, District 1 in Detroit. He's been in office 16 years, and all he has brought forth is this contract of a weed deal. And mind you, Detroit or Michigan is a state that is founded on, or is well groomed or well established in the manufacturing or car industry, right? But however, we still have core issues in District 1. You know, crime and public safety, blight and empty lots, affordable housing and tenant rights. And I want to come back to affordable housing and tenant rights in just a little bit. Environmental justice and pollution, public transit and infrastructure, community engagement and district representation, housing tenant issues, blight, abandonment, and dumping. Okay? But going back to affordable housing and tenant rights, I just sent out a petition or a letter, petition and a letter to the city council, to the governor. No responses yet. Because this is something we often deal with if you're dealing with affordable housing. Of course, everybody deals with affordable housing in some form or fashion. Or if you rent your apartment or whatever, it's not really an acceptable law by the courts, but it is in the law, right? When we're talking about the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, affordable housing should come to mind. Food should come to mind. Human rights in general should come to mind. And we have to remind, these people, the politicians or the government, these people in high-ranked places, right, who has money or big backing and support, big corporation is really in control, and they are trying to wipe out the middle class, and they're really doing a number on the poor. Don't even want them on the streets, calling it a crime to be poor, although they make them poor by lack of wages and when they do work or when we work, right? So I wanted to read that petition to you guys and a couple other things that I've put out. I have a real petition that was sent out as well. It was seen by the court clerk and everything, or the city clerk, but it is not where I want it to be, because I want to turn that petition to a bill and then into a law for a national in a national case, right? For the world, for the United States of America as a whole. Say it that way, right? The right way. So that's my petition, 2024-202. I have 43 policies that needs to be implemented into law. And I discussed that in that petition. But I'm not so much going to talk about that particular petition. I wanted to talk and share this petition, the newer petition I put out. Stop evictions over small balances. That's what it's called. We deal with this a lot, and this is with the affordable housing category. This is a petition I started, And so far, I only have 2 supporters, or 2 people that signed the petition. This is why it's so important that I get this out and people see what I'm trying to do and fight for and support and be a part of this, because this is our life, our lifestyle. Alrighty. It says the issue. Too many families, seniors, and working individuals are facing the threat of eviction due to minor rent shortfalls, amounts that are sometimes less than a single month's rent. This unjust practice not only displaces countless residents, but also creates unnecessary chaos and hardship in communities, destabilizing living arrangements for the most vulnerable populations. Evictions have profound consequences, often leading to homelessness, children being uprooted from schools, and increased stress on social services. The financial burden on taxpayers increases when families are displaced and must depend on emergency housing and other support services. Furthermore, with recovering from eviction being extremely challenging, the long-term impact on credit and future housing prospects is devastating for individuals. The implementation of a Tenant Protection Act can safeguard tenants from being evicted over inconsequential financial discrepancies. Such legislation can mandate landlords to work with tenants on affordable payment plans for small balances and offer mediation services in disputes. This will not only help protect families, but also maintain the stability of our communities and housing markets. State legislators, city council members, and housing authorities have the power to enact and enforce laws that prioritize housing stability over strict adherence to contracts that result in evictions for this minimal amounts. Instead, legislation should ensure that everyone has a fair opportunity to resolve short-term financial problems without losing their home. Encouraging alternative resolutions to renting issues will strengthen communities and demonstrate a commitment to humane and compassionate housing policies. Let's come together to support the Tenant Protection Act and put an end to unfair evictions. Please lend your voice and support to this cause. Sign the petition today and help keep families in their homes. Okay. So again, it's called Stop Evictions Over Small Balances. Not only am I fighting for the affordable housing, but just certain problems that I've been seeing, even with transit, things that Tate hasn't touched in his 16 years of being city council, right? So I sent this over to DDOT, Detroit Bus Transportation Services. I'm going to read this to you as well. All right, it says Detroit Department of Transportation, DDOT. Okay, dear DDOT leadership, I'm writing as a concerned passenger and resident regarding the lack of accessible westbound bus stops along West 8 Mile Road between Mansfield and Losser Road in Detroit. Currently, there are very few westbound stops on this stretch of 8 Mile, and riders like myself are experiencing serious difficulties as a result. I was informed that a stop exists before Northland Drive. However, buses often do not stop there because there is no visible sign to indicate it. This creates confusion and leaves riders stranded when buses pass us by. We urgently need at least 6 to 10 additional westbound stops along this corridor to ensure fair and equal access. At present, there are noticeably more eastbound stops than westbound, which puts westbound riders at a disadvantage. In addition, these stops should be equipped with seating areas and proper bus stop signage. Many riders, including seniors, people with disabilities, and parents with children, are left standing for long periods without shelter or a place to sit, which is unsafe and unfair. Installing benches and clearer signs will make these stops more visible to drivers and more comfortable for riders. Public transit is meant to serve the community reliably, and right now this stretch of road is not meeting the needs of westbound riders. I respectfully request that DDOT take action as soon as possible to add more clearly marked stops, along with seating along West 8 Mile between Mansfield and Losser. Thank you for your time and attention. I look forward to your response and to seeing improvements that will make westbound service along 8 Mile more accessible and rider-friendly for all. Sincerely, James Chandler. There was also some things I came across as well with the lighting. 8 Mile, Losser, dealing with Losser all the way, like going toward Pontiac. At night, the lighting is terrible. There's no lights through that path on Losser, taking it all the way to Pontiac. And that's very dangerous. There's deers that comes out at night or during the day, and oftentimes that can be an accident bound to happen. I thought about how police officers at times can pull citizens over because they have a missing light on their car. And we are fined for that. Citizens are fined for that and have to pay a penalty. But shouldn't that also apply to the city? They don't have lights. They should pay a fine. They should pay the penalty. Shouldn't that same result apply to the city? Right? Where's the judgment there? Where is the equal transparency there? There's a problem yet and still. And Tate has been in office 16 years. And we are so dull and used to just voting without the knowledge of who to vote for. And we keep these same people in office that mean us no good. 16 years, you ought to do a lot. 16 years, you can get some things done. But yet, these are some tough issues that hasn't been settled yet. And I haven't even hit on price gouging with the groceries. There are still high prices on these groceries. If the council members at least would talk with our governor, would partner with our governor, would partner with the mayor to set executive orders in place to stop price gouging in these marketplaces that oftentimes is in a black dominated city, is not owned by black dominated individuals. It's not owned by black individuals. This is why I fight so hard for reparations, undenied aid and credit, because this is our tax money, this is our dollars. We could use that money to start our own businesses. We can use that money to be the ones who would change the narrative, the system. One yes can solve our problems instead of all these negative answers and no's. No, we can't have this, or no, we can't have that, or we can't do that right now. Aren't you tired of politicians saying what we can't do at this moment, or we can't start this now? I believe Martin Luther King was told that same thing when he wanted to fight for the vote, and he was told that it was not the proper time, or but we can do a war on homelessness, or a war on the poor, or whatever it was, right? But yet they're still poor. What happened to that? What happened to that fight? It was all a waste of time. just to keep Martin off that path of trying to get this vote. And I don't want to be taken off the path of trying to get us our reparations, because now is the time, right? Now is the time. Now that I'm standing up, there's people out there that have been talking about fighting for it. You know, Mary Sheffield, she has a reparations task force that's been trying to fight for reparations for 3 years. And out of those 3 years, still no reparations. So at some point, either the right person has to stand up, causing more transparency to happen, step on the right toes, put fire under the right people, right, to go ahead and get us our reparations, right? Now is the time. Now is the time. They asked the question, where are we going to get the reparations money from, right? Where? And there are many options, right? If we look back over the history, even if we call out names, John Engler, the governor, right? Previous governor. The stem cell research, right? How much money did he take from our tax dollars to do what he did? It was all over the news, but where is that information, right? We are owed some money, people. We are owed some money, right? Voter fraud has been going on. Cheating in elections. Mishandling of the money. Mary Sheffield and all of these other council members don't want to talk about a financial audit. It scares them. Nobody's mentioning it. But if we did one, we will find out where the money is, or where this stolen money has went, right? It's about getting our money back to our communities. Detroit is powerful. Detroit has money, right? We are able to get, if not a national reparations, that's what I want, a national reparations. I believe those who deserve those reparations need their reparations, African Americans, right? Nationally. But even if I can get it just for Detroit, we're going to start there, right? But definitely my fight is for a national reparations. It's been too long. Yeah, I've been in these seats too long to not have had this already happen for our people. Let's look at some of the neighborhoods, right? Summary map of concerns in certain areas, like Brightmoor, right? So Brightmoor is part of District 1, and they're still dealing with crime, blight, and pollution. Grandmont, Rosedale, dealing with housing, gentrification engagement. This thing of gentrification is very big. Schoolcraft South, crime, neglect, transit. Evergreen Auto Drive, housing environment, Finkel Corridor, transit, roads. Redford, Detroit side, transit infrastructure. Right? And there are others with issues. O'Hare Park. Right? Responsibilities and powers. It doesn't take much to draft and pass ordinances. Where are the executive orders in favor of the people? A lot of people I know are stating that there are no recreation centers in our neighborhoods. They've taken them from our children, from students. And this is why there is probably like a lot of high rates of crime, because there's nothing really to do with a specific age group. It's time to start back building our recreation centers, our parks, keeping them clean, right? Keeping them safe, and set up some type of moral seminar for the students, rather than a curfew and a fine, more money coming out of people's pockets who don't have the money because of lack of payment, because of housing crisis, and dealing with, landlord issues, all because big government, big corporation is not opening our pockets to us so we can receive our own money, right? The objection of the bank, just having a bank account, right? Banks have been in odds and against us, using our own money, getting interest with our own money, but in return we cannot get an interest with our own money in ways that they know how, and the ways that they do, right? Recently found out that President Trump is now trying to put an attack on the CFPB, who helps consumers in protecting of their rights, as our rights as consumers, because we are the creditors. We are not the debtors, but the government wants to put debt on us as if it's our debt, when we know that the debt belongs to the government, right? Who has inherited this debt? The government. Facts, truth, will make you free. So, again, I just had to set that forth in this time of this agenda. Why I'm running, why it's important at this time to vote wisely for good, righteous candidates that are for the people, that are not for their own pockets, that are not trying to get something out the deal that will somehow discredit our city, or to make us look bad, right? So again, I would like for you all to add the group. Go to this website, https, of course, the colons, / tinyurl.com/msj9k5ek. And again, I'm going to show it here. If you can see that. There it is. If you can see that. Going in and out. I'm sorry. Put it back right there. I'm gonna get it right, y'all. But you can always pause the video because it did show. I have to take this background down. Okay, went in and out right there. There we go. tinyurl.com. Pause it right there, and you'll get it. Media right there. Fighting for reparations, transparency, and undenied aid. And I posted some things on there so you can get the gist of everything. All right. send me your emails, and I can directly send you some literature, some of my speeches, some of the things I'm fighting for, straight to your email so you can have it for yourself. My email is Chandler, Chandler, J339@gmail.com. That's how you can get in touch with me. ChandlerJ339@gmail.com. And you can send me an email, and I'll send you some documents over, what I'm fighting for, who I am, my bio, everything that way, like that. Good information, right? We're going to call this the civil rights movement coming back, right? Because I am all for human rights. So, I don't know if I mentioned, probably did, but Janice Winfrey, the city clerk, we are trying to get her removed from overseeing her own elections. There has been cheating, voter fraud, election fraud, for a long time. She's been called out on it. The council has been called out on it. There's been cases out there about it, and yet they still choose to let her oversee her own elections. There's a lot of rioting. Well, I ain't gonna say rioting, I'm sorry. Protesting. There's a difference. Protesting going on, specifically Los Angeles, and it's not really being televised. They're hiding information. The media is not being associated with or sharing information that needs to be shared. Again, big corporation, media, hand in hand, the government, hand in hand, right? Working together. Again, the corruption goes deep. And again, it is very important to get righteous members to run our government, righteous people to run our government, people of justice, people who stand on human rights, right, to run our country, to run our city council, national, state, all over the board. We need righteous people running, righteous candidates. People with a mind for the people, okay? We the people. That's in our preamble. We don't want to throw those things out the window. We don't want to throw those things out the window, and this is why I'm the right person to have in that seat. Of course, with your help, we can get the job done a lot quicker. A lot of things can be done, and it shouldn't take 16 years to do it. It shouldn't take 16 years to do it. And however long Janice Winfrey been in office, it shouldn't take that long either, right? If we have some good support from our mayor and governor, we can get executive orders out, put a fire under these people. Even our president, on up. We need to make the states submit to the Constitution and Bill of Rights, make them submit to human rights, okay? Reparations, transparency, and undenied aid. That's what I'm fighting for. Vote for me, James Chandler, District 1. Thank you for your time, and I would like to close out with that. Until next time, be blessed. And keep me in your prayers. Thank you.